Hello friends, welcome to Manu Law Classes. मेरा नाम गौतम दीक्षित है. Now today in this video we are going to see important news from the Hindu edition of 13th April 2023. Some of the important news which we are going to discuss and which are very important for our exam. जो एग्जाम में पूछे भी जा सकते हैं. That is about the parliamentary committees. इसके बारे में हम थोड़ा सा आज पढ़ेंगे. There has been an external series about the parliamentary committees. तो इसमें मैं आप लोगों को parliamentary committees का थोड़ा डिटेल जो न्यूज़पेपर में नहीं है वो भी मैं आपको दूंगा जो आपके एग्जाम के लिए इम्पोर्टेंट है. That is the first thing. Second, we will read an article about the Large Hadron Collider. It is a scientific project to be carried out in France by the CERN. Then what is the importance of this project, how this project is carried out, and the standard particle model of physics. All we are going to discuss in this Large Hadron Collider. Then next we will read about graphite. We will do it in a detail about graphite. Okay, so let's start with the news. The first news is consumer inflation slides below 6% mark for first time this year. So here whenever we say consumer inflation, so इंडिया में दो टाइप के इन्फ्लेशन होते हैं. एक होता है होलसेल प्राइस इंडेक्स जिसको हम कहते हैं WPI, दूसरा होता है कंज्यूमर प्राइस इंडेक्स जिसको हम कहते हैं CPI. ठीक है. सो होलसेल प्राइस इंडेक्स इट गिव्स यू द आइडिया ऑफ प्राइजेस एट द होलसेल लेवल और मंडी लेवल. कंज्यूमर प्राइस इंडेक्स जो होता है इट गिव्स यू द आइडिया ऑफ इन्फ्लेशन एट रिटेल लेवल which impacts the consumers the most. The second important difference between WPI and CPI is that WPI it is related with goods, but CPI it gives the inflation in both goods as well as services, both. Okay. So CPI it is released by National Statistics Office which comes under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and WPI is released by the Economic Advisor under the Union Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So these are some of the differences between WPI and CPI. उसके बाद अगर हम CPI की बात करें तो it is a CPI based on which the RBI decides its monetary policy. So Reserve Bank of India जो रेपो रेट ऊपर नीचे करती है it is based on CPI not WPI. So now let's see what is the CPI for March 2023. It is 5.66%. So for the first time it has come below 6% mark. Now यहाँ पे एक important चीज सोचने की ये है कि ये 6% mark है क्या? What is the importance of this 6% actually? So if you will see the importance of this 6%, so if you will see the RBI inflation target, ठीक है, जो RBI जो target करती है inflation that is 4% plus minus 2%. It means that there is a band of inflation in which RBI tries to keep the inflation. तो उसका जो lower है lower level है that is 4 minus 2 it is 2% and 4 plus 2 that is 6%. So RBI tries that the inflation should not go beyond 6%. Fine. Now if you will see that March inflation level was last seen in December 2021. Now if you will see rural and इन्फ्लेशन, सो रूरल इन्फ्लेशन जो है इसमें शार्पर डिप आया है फ्रॉम 6.2% टू 5.51%. ओके. उसके बाद जो अर्बन इन्फ्लेशन है इट हैज डिप्ड मार्जिनली फ्रॉम 6.1% टू 5.89%. देन इफ यू विल सी द फूड आइटम्स, सो वेजिटेबल्स हैव रिमेन्ड इन डिफ्लेशनरी मोड विद प्राइसेस ड्रॉपिंग 8.5%. Now the next important news is India sees over 7,800 COVID cases in a day. So we already know that the XBB.1.16 which is a recombinant variant of Omicron is responsible for the current surge in COVID-19 cases in India. हमने कुछ दिन पहले न्यूज़ भी पढ़ा था कि ड्रिल कैरी आउट किया गया था in several states including government and private hospitals like Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Karnataka. Now there is a surge in case where India has seen over 7,800 COVID cases in a day. Okay, so this surge is going to continue for next day according to the health ministry, but the ministry has cautioned that people need not to panic because the variant is not triggering severe infection. Now coming to text and context which is very important for us, that is the role of parliamentary committees. Now if you will see the role of the parliamentary committees, तो committees होती हैं which carry on detailed study of anything which is related to debate or discussions which are going to be held in parliament. यहाँ पे देखिए इसका importance है, that is due to sheer volume of information and scale of operations that the Indian parliament is required to undertake, it is not feasible to take up all the issues on the floor of the house. ठीक है. तो पार्लियामेंट को में बहुत सारे बिल्स पास होते हैं, बहुत सारे डिस्कशंस होते हैं, बजट पास होता है। तो यहाँ पे क्या होता है कि जो मेन स्टडी होता है that is done by parliamentary committees. So parliamentary committees, this is a panel made up of member of parliaments. Normally the members are elected or nominated by speaker or the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, and they are constituted to deal with sector specific concerns or any matter which has been referred to the parliamentary committees. Okay, if you will see the parliamentary committees, तो former president जो थे यूएस के वुड्रो विल्सन, उन्होंने बहुत important बात बोली है. He says that it is not far from the truth to say that Congress in session is Congress on public exhibition. मतलब यूएस जो कांग्रेस जब हम कहते हैं, it means the parliament. ठीक है, तो ये the US Congress it consists of two houses. One is House of Representatives, the next is Senate. ठीक है, which is their upper house, and this is our lower house. तो जैसे हमारे इंडिया में भी होता है तो लोकसभा एंड राज्यसभा. So लोकसभा is like House of Representatives and Rajya is like Senate. Now if you will see that these parliamentary committees, they were given a particular structure in 1993, but they are operating since the independence. If you will see many committees which were established, which were the part of the Constituent Assembly also. So if you will see that there was ad hoc committee on citizenship clause which discussed the nature and scope of Indian citizenship. Then there were various committees, subcommittees like Northeast Frontier, Assam, Tribal and Excluded Areas Subcommittee, and Excluded and Partial Excluded Areas other than Assam Subcommittee. Okay. Then if you will see that there were also certain important committees like Expert Committee on Financial Provisions of the Union Constitution, which was responsible for giving recommendations on union and province, tax collection, central excise duty, liquor revenue, divisible pool of income tax, sharing of proceeds among provinces, residuary powers, and Finance Commission and Auditor General. Then there was Advisory Committee on the subject of political safeguards for minorities, which was chaired by Sardar Patel, which looked at abolition of reservations for religious minorities. Now, if we will see today's structure of the parliament, so if you can see the parliamentary committees जो होते हैं, parliamentary committees, so they are of two types. One is standing, next is ad hoc. Ad hoc का मतलब कि जैसे जैसे सिचुएशन अराइज होगा वैसे वैसे कमिटीज जो हैं फॉर्म किए जाते हैं. ठीक है, सो इफ यू विल सी वेरियस कमिटीज इन स्टैंडिंग, so we have like committee on financial matters, then departmental standing committees, then we have committees to inquire, then we have housekeeping committees, then we have committees related to day-to-day business of the house. Then we also have a committee to scrutinize and control. Okay, now let's begin at the रोल ऑफ कमिटीज. सो एक कमिटी होता है जो फाइनेंशियल कमिटी में का एक फाइनेंशियल कमिटी का एक पार्ट होता है जिसको हम कहते हैं एस्टिमेट कमिटी. सो कमिटीज जो होते हैं दे गो इनटू द डिटेल्स ऑफ स्पेसिफिक पीस ऑफ लेजिस्लेशन, उसका क्या इम्पैक्ट होगा इंडिया में, गवर्नेंस इंडिकेटर्स वो सब स्टडी करती हैं, एंड देन दे मेक देयर रिकमेंडेशंस एंड देन दिस रिकमेंडेशंस आर डिस्कस्ड इन द पार्लियामेंट. ओके, और एक जो चीज यहाँ पे इम्पोर्टेंट है दैट इज दैट कमिटी रिपोर्ट्स आर नॉट बाइंडिंग ऑन द गवर्नमेंट, but it helps the legislature ensure an oversight on the executive. For example, like during the budget session में parliamentary जो committees होती हैं, okay, they table the demand for grants report. okay, तो ये जो demand for grants होती है इसको पूरा स्टडी किया जाता है कि जो ये डिमांड फॉर ग्रांट्स किया गया है उसको पूरा स्क्रूटिनाइज किया जाता है। जो भी बजट सेशन में डिमांड फॉर ग्रांट्स फॉर एवरी डिपार्टमेंट होगा तो डिपार्टमेंटली स्टैंडिंग कमिटीज वो पूरे ग्रांट को स्क्रूटिनाइज करती है और फिर अपना रिपोर्ट प्रेजेंट करती है। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, लेट्स टेक अ work of Committee on Rural Development and Panchayati Raj. So they have highlighted a very important thing that they say that in 2022-23 the Ministry of Panchayati Raj has been able to spend only rupees 701 crore out of the total allocation of rupees 905 crore. Then there is also one committee which is called as Business Advisory Committee, which prepares the entire schedule of both houses when Parliament is in session. So wherever papers laid on the table of the house, okay, there is a whole committee dedicated to this particular work. The next is, let's study the importance of a committee. Okay, so there was one committee which was established to consider the report of digital data protection bill. So in 2017, in KS Puttaswamy judgment, when Supreme Court said that there is a need to protect the online data and privacy in online domain. So Justice Shri Krishna Committee, it presented a report which was studied by the Joint Parliamentary Committee chaired by PP Chaudhary, and they've submitted their report based on which the bill was introduced in Lok Sabha, which was later withdrawn, and a new draft digital protection bill was introduced for public consultation in November 2022. Then if you will see, there are many important bills which the parliamentary committees they are studying. For example, Prohibition of Child Marriage Amendment Bill, Anti-Maritime Piracy Bill, which seeks to enact the UN Convention on Law of Sea for combating piracy in high seas. Then Jan Vishwas Bill, that amends 42 laws across sectors like agriculture and media. Then Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill, that extends the scope of protected species. Then Competition Amendment Bill, Electricity Amendment Bill, Criminal Procedure Identification Bill, Multi-State Cooperative Society bills. This all bill have been referred to the committee for detailed study. Then there are certain issues which are studied by this committee. For example, there is one Public Accounts Committee which comes under which is a part of the financial committees. In its 2015 report, it highlighted the importance of defense shipyards in India. Okay. Now, अगर आप US से कंपेयर करें, so committees there they play a crucial roles and bills are referred to them post introduction for scrutiny. तो वहाँ पे क्या होता है कि बिल जो है वो इंट्रोड्यूस किया जाता है, उसके बाद वो कमिटी को रेफर किया जाता है. सो यहाँ पे क्या होता है कि जो कमिटीज होती है उसका डिटेल स्टडीज करेंगी, अमेंडमेंट प्रपोज करेंगी और बिल को मॉडिफाई करेंगी. फाइन. तो इंडिया में हम क्या कर सकते हैं? इंडिया में वी कैन कंसिडर अ कंपल्सरी रेफरल फॉर ऑल द बिल्स टू द पार्लियामेंट्री कमिटीज, giving them more powers to ensure accountability of the executives. The next is a beginner's guide to Large Hadron Collider, its function and its future. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे अगर हम देखेंगे तो जो Large Hadron Collider है, it was built by CERN. What is the full form of CERN? European Organization for Nuclear Research, and it is carrying out research in physics, conducting experiment with subatomic particles. Hadron is one of these subatomic particles. तो जो LHC होता है is very large scientific experiment. It is a collider and it collides the hadron for studying the standard model of particle physics. तो अगर आप देखेंगे कि जो LHC होता है, that large hadron collider, it typically uses protons and which are made up of quarks and gluons. उसके बाद क्या होता है कि जो प्रोटॉन है उसको एक्सेलरेट किया जाता है almost at the speed of light in a narrow circular pipe of 27 किलोमीटर long. एंड देन ये जो पाइप होते हैं दे एनसर्कल टू डी शेप्ड मैग्नेटिक फील्ड्स. ऐसे टू डी शेप्ड मैग्नेटिक फील्ड्स है, इसके थ्रू ऐसे पाइप जा रहा है. ठीक है, फाइन. सो यहाँ पे अगर आप देखें, सो इफ यू विल सी दैट देयर आर 9600 मैग्नेट्स. अब यहाँ पे देखिए होता क्या है, दैट देयर प्रोटॉन्स इन दिस ट्यूब they travel at a speed of 99.9999% of the speed of light. जो speed of light होता है वो कितना होता है? 3 × 10⁸ किलोमीटर पर सेकेंड. उसके बाद क्या होता है कि protons in two opposite directions they are moved at the speed of light and then they are made to collide. When they make a collision based on the energy pattern, different subatomic particles are created. One of them which was created in 2012 was Higgs boson. Okay. So if you will see that at the moment of collision there is a chaos, there is lot of energy available and parts of it collapse into different subatomic particles under the guidance of fundamental forces of nature. So यहाँ पे क्या होता है कि that two protons when they collide, so based on the energy pattern, different subatomic particles are created which can be used to give credence to standard model of particle physics. Now see, LHC के पास total 9 detectors हैं which are at a different position, and every year it generates around 30,000 terabyte of data which is stored, and then physics they use this data with the help of computers to identify and analyze specific patterns. Okay. Then in 2012 and in 2013 this Hadron Collider Atlas and CMS detectors, दो detectors हैं, they helped in discovering the Higgs boson in 2012. अब एग्जाम में क्वेश्चन आ सकता है कि स्टैंडर्ड मॉडल ऑफ पार्टिकल फिजिक्स क्या है। तो अगर ये क्वेश्चन अगर आता है, सो यू कैन से दैट इट इज अ थियरी रिलेटेड टू सब एटॉमिक पार्टिकल्स वेयर इट पोस्टुलेट्स द प्रेजेंस ऑफ सब एटॉमिक पार्टिकल्स। तो इस थियरी को वैलिडेट करने के लिए लार्ज हैड्रॉन कोलाइडर जो है वो एक्सपेरिमेंट करता है। देन सम ऑफ द थिंग्स व्हिच दे हैव टू फाइंड, दे हैव टू एक्सप्लेन is nature of dark matter and why gravity is very a weak force. The next is a quiz about graphene. Now what is graphene? So graphene, if you will see, it is a single layer of carbon atoms arranged in a hexagonal pattern as you can see in the diagram. ठीक है ना, सिंगल लेयर होता है. So and it is an allotrope of carbon. It is an allotrope of carbon. Allotrope क्या होता है? सेम केमिकल एलिमेंट का डिफरेंट फिजिकल मैनिफेस्टेशन. फॉर एग्जाम्पल कोल, डायमंड, ग्रेफाइट, they are all allotrope of carbon. Okay, they are all allotrope of carbon. Fine. अब ये जो allotrope of carbon है, तो अगर आप देखेंगे कि 2004 में दो साइंटिस्ट एंड्री जिम एंड Konstantin Novoselov, they used micromechanical cleavage to isolate graphene from graphite. ठीक है, अगर ग्राफीन को अगर आप देखेंगे, ग्राफीन जो होता है वो 2 डायमेंशनल कार्बन शीट होता है, एंड इफ दिस शीट्स अगर एक के ऊपर एक डाला जाए तो उसको हम क्या कहते हैं, ग्रेफाइट. तो ग्राफीन को आइसोलेट पहली बार कब किया गया था, 2004 में. इसीलिए इन्हें 2010, दोनों लोगों को 2010 का नोबेल प्राइज भी मिला था फिजिक्स का. ठीक है, उसके बाद अगर आप देखेंगे that Andrei Jim he received 2000 physics Nobel Prize along with Novoselov. Now Andrei Jim is the only person who has received the Nobel Prize and IG Nobel Prize. IG Nobel Prize. Okay. Now why Andrei Jim received the IG Nobel Prize? Because of levitating a frog using its own magnetic field. The next is exercise scope India 23. So yeah, this is the air exercise between India and USA. ठीक है, सो यहाँ पे अगर आप देखेंगे कि दैट इंडिया से जो फाइटर एयरक्राफ्ट जो पार्टिसिपेट कर रही हैं, दे आर तेजस, रफाल, सुखोई 30 MK1 एंड जैगुआर्स. एंड फ्रॉम यूएस साइड इट इज F-15 fighters and B-1B long range bombers. So if you will see that this is the first time ever that the US bombers B-1B is taking part in military exercise in India. Earlier B-1B bombers had earlier done flybys during Aero India on 2 occasions. Now see what is the objective. तो यहाँ पे देखिए जो कुछ important parts हैं इस exercise में. Japan is taking part as an observer, and then this exercise it will be supported by aerial refueling, airborne warning and control system, and airborne early warning and control aircraft of the Indian Air Force, and the exercise will conclude on April 24. Now coming to Azad reference omitted in NCERT textbook. So if you will see Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, ठीक है, तो इनकी जो रेफरेंसेस थी किसी किसी जगह से NCERT से वो निकाला जा चुका है. तो यहाँ पे अगर आप मौलाना अब्दुल कलाम आजाद को देखेंगे, so he was a freedom fighter. Okay. And he took part in non-cooperation movement, civil disobedience movement, and he also led Congress delegation during cabinet mission plan and during the elections which were held for the Constituent Assembly. And he was the Congress president from 1939 to 46 throughout the World War II period. After that, Acharya J.B. Kripalani became the president Okay, so Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad, he also started a newspaper from Calcutta. Its name is Al Hilal. Al Hilal. Then his birthday, that is November 12th, is celebrated as National Education Day. Now coming to credit system will integrate general and vocational education. So under the national credit framework, okay, now there will be a credit system which will include general as well as vocational education. So national education policy, it puts emphasis on integrating the general academic education and vocational and skill education. So national credit framework has come up with the credit system where both types of subjects can be included. And the next is China set up no fly zone near Taiwan, says Taipei. तो अगर आप देखेंगे तो चाइना इज कैरिंग आउट अ नेवल ड्रिल अराउंड ताइवान वेयर the objective is to cut off defense supplies to Taiwan during the crisis. Okay, so now there is an escalation of Taiwan issue in East Asia. The next is index of industrial production rises 5.6% year on year in February but slides from January. So what is index of industrial production? So it gives the data on industrial output. Okay, so released every month by National Statistics Office, and in index of industrial production you will see around 40.27% weightage is of core sectors. So friends, that's all for today. We will meet tomorrow again with a daily Hindu analysis. Till then, have a nice time. Take care. Thank you.